Good day, Borough of Bath. It is your Borough Manager, Brad Flynn, and it is Monday, August the 14th, 2023. And we're going to talk about the 2024 budget. I'd like to give everybody a budget briefing. We had our first meeting publicly in council chambers August the 7th, earlier this month, to discuss the 2024 budget. But before we dive into the budget, I have to say I'm sore. I'm sore for two reasons. One being over the weekend, the bathtub softball over the Old Home weekend, we lost the championship game to none other than the Caravan Cigar here in Bath. They beat us up. They beat us up last year, and they beat us up this year. So I'm sore about that. I'm also sore because we played 4 games over the span of 7 or 8 hours. I have no idea. I was getting delirious. And I'm really hoping that next year we're gonna come at it a lot stronger and better for it. I think we're gonna do good things next year for sure.
You've got a big surprise coming to you.
Okay, stop it, Jack Nicholson. Good grief. So it was a shame that we lost the way we did. It kind of reminds me, the way I feel anyway, is like the 1970 agony of defeat.
His inexperience, he fell on his first jump. A lot of speed in that track. Now, look out! Look at him go! Oh!
If you've ever seen that, that's kind of how I feel today. So nothing would cheer me up better than to discuss the 2024 municipal budget with all of you. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I do want to thank everyone who did play on Saturday of this past weekend. We had a lot of great teams, a lot of great people. It was great to see everybody get together on a community basis like that and chip in and play a softball game. We all played hard. It was a lot of fun, so looking forward to it next year. All right, so we're going to talk about the 2024 budget, the first opportunity we had to discuss the budget. It was round 1, basically, with council, and it was on August the 7th, Monday, August the 7th. And I'm going to give everyone a preview. I might talk fast during this presentation because I'm trying to condense about 45 minutes worth of budget discussion into a few minutes, several. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to try not to bore you, put you to sleep.
Oh, wow. I just had the weirdest dream. You know you're driving, right?
You probably shouldn't be operating heavy machinery or anything that would require your abilities, because I don't know what this is going to do. So we'll see. So we'll dive into it. So the first thing that I discussed with council, I gave them an overall, let's share this screen here. Okay. So what we have here, I gave council a rundown of all the different funds that we have in the Borough of Bath. And that's what I wanted them to see, that basically at the end of the day, the borough manages a lot more money than what they see in actual budget form. When we talk about the budget, we're talking about the general operating budget. We have an operating reserve. We have a fire protection fund. We have capital improvement fund. We have a highway aid fund, municipal solid waste. And then we're going to have another fund this year. It'll be the MS4, or the storm sewer fund. But they don't really see, so a lot of those funds are named in this summary. This is basically an entire summary of all the funds that the borough has under its control. Like I said, the general fund, solid waste and recycling. We have MS4, highway aid fund, capital improvement fund, capital reserve fund, fire protection, fire department capital fund. We have an operating reserve, tax fund. This is the pot where all the tax revenue goes into. We hold it into a separate account because it draws in a higher interest rate. So that's why we keep the money there. And that money goes to fund things like operating expenses in the general fund. We have a rec fund. This money is kept when there's a new development in town. While we don't see a lot of that now, we would get, there are still some development actually, but we could get a developer that is required to either provide park space, open park space in their plan. If they can't do that, they would just give us cash in lieu. So it's a park and rec fee in lieu of providing open space, and that's why we still have some of that money. This money that you see here is actually from the Bathview development. We have the Arcadia Development Fund. We're holding on to cash from way back in 2006 when the Arcadia Development in East Allen Township was being proposed or built. There was an agreement between East Allen Township and the Borough of Bath that they get some money to help improve with in traffic with some of their intersections. So we've been holding on to that cash for a little while until we can use it for a specific purpose relative to an intersection or transportation improvement. We have developer escrows. These are private funds that we hold for projects that are ongoing in the borough, like Bath View, Bathwick. There's that project to the western part of the borough. It's basically a subdivision land development approval. That's what these escrow accounts are for building subdivisions, things like that. Non-developer escrows, and we've got quite a few of those, which really amount to general fund escrow, a community revitalization account, the old Bath Lions held money with us for a while, and payroll checking, things like that. We have a mayor's fund and any other miscellaneous funds not captured in any of the other groups above. So you see, we're carrying, $4.3 million in 2022 with $2.9 million, almost $3 million in expenditures, closing balance of $1.3 million or $1.4 million. Now, the thing to remember, though, a lot of this is restricted funds. I can't just use the money willy-nilly. You can't just take the Arcadia money and put it into the general fund. That's not how that works. Rec funds got to be spent on recreational purposes or park improvements. Tax fund is unrestricted, but again, that goes to the general operating expenses. Fire department capital fund, it's restricted to just departmental building issues that they have that they want to get fixed. And that money comes in from what we do is we have a lease between us and Bethlehem Township EMS for them to store an ambulance in one of the bays. We get monthly income from that. Half of that goes to the general fund, half goes to the fire department capital improvement fund. So these are all the different funds that we hold. That's the brief overview that I gave to council during the August 7th meeting. And then we dove into the budget, and that's what we're going to do now. Okay, so we're going to talk about the borough budget 2024. It's the first round. Bing bong. And again, we're going to try to condense this down as fast as I can because it's you're probably not going to watch a 45-minute video of this. So I'm going to do my best. Plus, I want you to have this information, or just generally from me, from the borough, because I don't want you to get the wrong impression from somebody else who tries to regurgitate this information. They have no idea what they're talking about. So it's probably best you just see this here, and we're going to go over just briefly, hit the highlights, and that's the plan here. So let's dive into this. I want to share my screen with you. Yes. Okay. In the meeting, I started off council with the operating reserve. Real simple. Operating reserve is your rainy day fund. In 2024, I'm not anticipating any expenditures. We did estimate some expenditures in 2023, but I don't think that's coming to fruition. I hope not. So I'm hoping to carry a fund balance, and I should have around $441,000 in that account at the end of the year. That is not much. $441,000 in 2023 maybe operates this borough for 3 months, 4 months. That's it. But that's all we have in this town as far as that goes. So that's it on the operating reserve. And so when we actually, let's read this budget real quick. I'll put the budget together. This column here is the 2022 final. So what we actually recorded in 2022, 2023 estimated budget, and we have a 2024 budget, which is also an estimate as well. So it kind of shows you what we recorded in 22, what we thought in 23, and what we're thinking for 2024. All the expenditures in this budget are also geared off the last 2 years of expenditures. And that's how we kind of estimated revenues and expenditures. We just looked at the last 2 years as a snapshot. Moving on. Fire Protection Fund, or a hydrant tax, if you will. The borough collects $500,000 on property real estate tax for fire protection. The Borough of Bath, and we'll do another video on this perhaps, about millage and assessed valuation, things like that. $55 million in assessed valuation equals around $55,000 in millage. So a 0.5 mil for us will net around $27,825.35 in collected tax. That is, though, assuming a 100% collection rate. Well, many municipalities do not get 100% collection on their taxes. There's always going to be a 90, 95%. If you're humming along at a 98% collection rate, that's really good. So the borough transfers 100% of the fire protection tax to the fire company. So it has to be offset with general fund expenses, a stabilizing fund, if you will, to keep that account flush. We're hoping at the end of the year, $3,100 will be left over. And the fire company does give us a report on what they spend the money on as per the borough code relative to giving them tax money in that way. Moving on, highway aid. The highway aid fund for us is what's called Act 44. It's the state liquid fuels account. So when you go and you pump gas and you're upset because the gas tax is so high, there's a reason for it. You've got federal tax on there. You've got Pennsylvania state tax on there. And we, as a municipality, we get some of that money every time you pump your fuel in your vehicle. But over the last few years, in particular around the COVID period where things were shut down, we got a much reduced rate because people were restricted from going out. And so we didn't get that much in people weren't driving, they weren't pumping gas. And so therefore, a lot of that tax was getting shut down. So we average around $67,000 to $75,000 in liquid fuels tax money. I'm not showing anything budgeted just yet on the expense side, but that's what we do get from the state. Capital Improvement Fund. In years past, we have never had a capital improvement fund. So I am touting, and I'm very proud of the fact that the borough now has a capital improvement fund. Not only do we have a capital improvement fund, we have a capital reserve fund. So I'm not showing it from the purposes of revenue on this budget, but we do have $37,900 in capital reserve funding, should we need it for anything that may come up. But we have a lot of projects planned for 2024. One of the biggest projects, we want to fix Borough, the major linkage between Chestnut and Walnut Street. And we also want the Public Works crew to fix Heidel. They've been doing a great job over this last year on such a limited crew, 3 guys and a part-timer, with help from neighboring municipalities, to redo Hoke Street. We're doing Pine Street, we're doing Penn Street this year. We want to get into Heidel Avenue next year. We also want to do a street lighting project in Old Forge. We've got 3 streets in Old Forge community, Old Forge Drive, Creek Road, Century, 10 street lights currently. We want to bump that up to 23 street lights, really light that community with LED solar powered lights, take them off the grid, help us with our costs on the electric grid. So that's what we're looking like in 2024. If you look at this line here, revenue 710, what we have 500 and some in 542,000 in expenditures. We're hoping to have a balance forward of 168,000. But as you see, the money goes quickly, especially when you're talking about road projects. Estimated $150,000 for Borough Avenue. It's a 200-foot by 30 or 40-foot wide street. But it's the mobilization, it's what's required to get put into that street. Costs have certainly gone up over the last few years as far as that goes with contracted materials, contractors themselves, labor rates, etc. So that's capital improvement. MS4 is talking about municipal separate storm sewer system. We have a federal permit that we're required to have by the federal government, and also the state requires us to do MS4 protections. It's looking likely that the borough is going to have to create this fund in 2024. There might be an MS4 fee for everybody. Oh boy. In 2025. More information to come on that in the coming months, so stay tuned. Come to meetings. You'll get briefed on that. Everyone may have to pay a fee for storm sewer systems. It's just the way of the future. We have over $480,000 in commitments that we have to finish within the next 4 years. So this fund's been created. It's a new one. It's the 7th fund that we may now have to take a look at. And it's being anticipated for 2024. Again, a fee may not be implemented until 2025, but we need to start this process now. The MSW, the Municipal Solid Waste Fund, trash bill. The Borough of Bath is a single hauler municipality. It did that back in the 80s, I want to say, late 80s. We don't want trash haulers coming through collecting residential trash 7 days a week. It's annoying. It busts your roads up. You don't want to do it. And so that's why this town did that way back when. So there's our anticipated expenditures. We're looking at $467,000. This is again a rough draft. It was round one. We're going to be talking about this some more probably in the coming months for sure. And we're anticipating $561,000 in expenditures, hopefully a fund balance of $94,000. Moving on to the general fund. Oh, spoiler alert. It looks like it's balanced as of right now, but let's just run up to the top here. Huge fund. It's the largest fund, operating fund of the borough. So, general government, things like the council's salary, which is set by state law, the mayor, me. A lot of my lines are being shifted into other subcategories. Other subcategories. That's what happens. Your speech starts to go when you're trying to run through this as fast as I'm trying to run through this. I'm trying to keep all this information in my head. These will be moved to other sublines because it didn't need to be in my line. It's just an accounting thing. It's a bookkeeping thing. We're trying to clean that up. Auditing, financial services, tax collection, legal services. You might notice from past budgets, we didn't have this line, but now we have it. What is this? RTK, right to know. The right to know law is expensive. No matter what somebody tells you, there's a cost to transparency. The right to know law is very, very difficult. It's not as easy as some make it out to be. The Borough of Bath in the last 11 months has received, I want to talk to you one-on-one real quick. The Borough of Bath in the last 11 months has seen 29 right to know requests by 2 individuals. It averages on a yearly basis 26 right to know requests. In its history, it's only received 1 appeal, and that individual withdrew that appeal. We've seen 5 appeals in the last 11 months. These are quasi-judicial proceedings. It's intense. It's labor intensive for not only me, but staff, legal, accounting, and IT. There's a lot that goes into it. It's fine. That's the system. So we need to start budgeting for it. It's on the rise. People have a right to know and see certain documents, but not everything is a public document. And so you're going to see right to knows here. You're going to see right to know. Oh, I've got to show you what I'm talking about here. So you're going to see it in legal. You're going to see it pop up in IT. You're going to see it popping up. Actually, I passed it before in auditing, but it's there as well. So yes, we have right to know request expenses that have built up. Never before have we seen the kind of cost that we're seeing now. It's just part of transparency, as I said earlier. Secretarial expenses, general government administration, a lot of the lines that were in the manager are now falling under this line. IT has its own separate expenses. We're showing $30,000 for new equipment. We've got to upgrade our computers, our server. Most of this equipment now has reached the end of its life cycle. Engineering services, municipal building, public safety, fire company. Things like this here, volunteer fire relief, if you see something like that or another state aid, like the pension, non-uniform pension, these are pass-through accounts. Money's given to the state, to the borough, but then the borough's got to pass it on to the, I hit this thing again, has to pass it on to the agency that it's due, like the fire company. The UCC and code enforcement, this is a lot of zoning and planning in our parking / code enforcer. We have OpenGov, which is our citizens platform for you guys to submit permits, building permits, and your business licenses and your rental inspection, so things like that. Planning, zoning, property maintenance code issues. We have our monthly planning commission meetings. We do have professional services that sit in on those meetings, and that does cost money. Emergency management, animal control, grass and weed control. We contract out grass cutting in the Borough of Bath. We have 34 acres in our parks. Our public works crew can't do it all. 3 guys and a part-timer cannot cut all 34 acres, but also work on roads. So therefore, we contract it out. We also don't have wide area mowers. I would need something like an 11 acre per hour mower in order for this to be feasible for the guys to cut and still do road repairs at the same time. That said, we are still looking to add a 4th full-timer in addition to the 3 that we have, and we have a part-time on the side. We need to bolster the crew. 1 guy goes down right now. I'm down 33% of my manpower. Anyone that does road work knows you got 2 guys on a paver, you got 2 guys raking, you got 2 guys on a roller, maybe 1, You got one you're going to need for safety. It's an operation. It requires a lot of help. We do get help from neighboring municipalities, but they got to do their project. So our crew's got to get staffed. The public should be seeing the kind of work that's being done in the Borough of Bath. Pine Street's getting redone. Hogue Street got redone. We're going to be on Penn Street this year. You should be seeing the work that's being done and why we're justifying putting the money into public works the way we are. And that's what I explained to council earlier this month. And I think they agree as well. Winter maintenance services, traffic control, lighting, sidewalks, storm sewers, repairs of our tools and machinery. And I got to hand it to our public works crew there again. They are doing a lot of the work in-house, a lot of equipment repairs that ordinarily would be sent out. We don't have to do that. We're doing a lot of that work in-house. Yes, while there is some expenses that do go out, but a lot of it they try to do in-house to keep some of that cost down, but there's still cost to that. We also have clock expenses. We have a beautiful clock in Monoxide Creek Park, but it's 20 years old just about, and it needs a total reworking of its inner workings. Its clock face, its mechanisms and whatnot need to be replaced. It's why it's reading slow. It's kind of slow, Ben. I don't know why I said that, but it's like 5, 6, 7 minutes behind time. And it's because the inner workings are messed up. Trails in our parks. We've got beautiful parks in the Borough of Bath. We want people to continue to use our parks, but you got to invest in your parks, and we've got lots of different lines for parks. Look at all the things that we have to do. So we want to fund that, and that's what all this is here. We've got civil, military celebrations, parades, and things like that. That's what that line is. We are carrying some debt. I'm happy to say, though, we have $440,000 this year on a $550,000 note. We are paying that off slowly over the course of time. If we have extra money, we will actually throw it towards that debt to bring that debt down, and we may need to borrow again. Employer paid benefits and withholdings. That's what this line is showing here. 7 employees. Borough insurances. We have a lot. Interoperating fund transfers. When you see things like this, an interoperating fund transfer on the expense side is going to a fund. If it's on the revenue side, it's from the fund. And so you see MS4 is getting funding. Fire protection funds getting funding to stabilize it. Remember, 100% of that tax rate for fire protection has got to go to the fire company. We pay it regardless. And then we split the Bethlehem Township EMS lease that we have with them to have one of their ambulances in the fire company. We split the monthly fee between the general fund and the capital improvement fund for fire company, so they have some money in case they need a building repair. It was a smart idea. I'm glad we did it, and that's what that money goes to. But you see here, no money is going into capital improvement. No more money is going into operating reserve fund. Looking briefly at the revenue side, we talked about this before. $55 million in assessed valuation. $55,650 is one millage, 1 mil of property tax. So 16.45 mils. Yeah, it's $915,454.02. In reality, we're only going to get maybe 95% of that. Then there's a 2% discount. So you go from $915,000 in estimated revenue receipts on property tax, it drops you to $852,000. So that's why we talk about incremental tax increases. Whenever you set a mill or a mill and a half, you're not getting that full amount. That automatically comes down. We're trying to battle local inflation. Inflation's been bad on everybody. Cost of doing business has gone up since the COVID era. It's just the way it has been. So a lot of that money, yes, we've got some new development. Yes, we've got higher assessed valuation. We have gone up from 53 when I first got here, now up over 55 million. That's great. That is showing that the tide's changing with some of the properties, the developments. We have more people coming into town that are good jobs. Our income taxes have increased as well. These are great numbers, but we're trying to outpace inflation, which has been killing us and killing everybody else. And we have projects that we need to do. We showed $150,000 to do 200 feet of a road. That's where this money goes. So, local service taxes, business licenses, non-business licenses, fines, magisterial district court, state police, parking fines. I know we don't want to talk about parking fines. Just follow the rules and you won't get a parking ticket. But if you aren't, thank you. earn interests on all of our funds in the bank accounts, rents and royalties to include the Verizon cell tower. Yes, we get lease money from them, but again, had we not withdrawn from the police situation, our budget was upside down. No money was going into capital infrastructure. Like I said, we haven't had a capital improvement fund before. Now we do. So we're able to do more things. And that's what that's ultimately what the direction it wanted to go. State shared revenues, pilot taxes, we can get into that, maybe another video. Charges for services, general government services, public safety, highways and streets, interoperating fund transfers, nothing coming from the other funds. But as you see here, there's probably an error. I need to show on the MS4 side, the MSW side, money is coming in from that fund, which will help to adjust some of this out. Miscellaneous revenues, and that's it. 1.6 million in expenditures, 1.6 million in revenues. The 2024 first round budget review is balanced. Yes. Doesn't mean it's going to stay this way. It was the first round. You got to really load down and dirty on what I discussed with council at their Monday, August the 7th meeting. More to follow. If you've got questions, you can write me, manager@boroughbath.org, secretary@boroughbath.org. Call us, 610-837-6525. Come to a meeting, first Monday of each month. You can help us with the budget if you'd like. We'll take questions, we'll take comments, and so that is the first round of the 2024 budget prep, and there'll be more to come. I'll do another one after the September meeting. I hope this was helpful. Subscribe to our channel if you think it was. Let us know how we're doing. And that's it. Man, I am flushed. It is hot in here. It's tough doing this a 45-minute condensed down or whatever this wound up being. But that is it. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk soon. Thank you. Take care. And we'll see you in the next one.